Well, thank you for staying with Monday Special. As we mentioned earlier, tonight we're discussing the role of young people, youth and youth leaders in healing and reconciliation in the country. And on set with me, we have members of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association who will each be introducing themselves as they answer some pertinent questions. Remember, you can talk to us on 22422 on SMS or use the hashtag MondaySpecialKE on Twitter. We also, of course, have Bill Kembo, who's the founder of Rise Above Tribe, and he's also going to be giving us his perspective on the same. Maybe I can start by putting this out there. How much of a role have young people played in dividing the country? It's a difficult question to answer. It's not one that we like to discuss, but how much of a role do you think young people have played in dividing the country or creating some kind of strife in the country?
Soipan Tuya is my name, the women's representative from Narok and a member of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. Unfortunately, our young people have played a role in division in this country, and I think the biggest problem is we have a huge pool of disoriented, uncoordinated young people in this country, and that's where we need to start from, getting solutions to the problem of national division. All
right, maybe I can hear from you. She talks about the fact that there's a pool of disoriented young people. Why do you think that's the case? And do you think that's happening now more than ever? Are we really seeing a level of disorientation in our young people now than we've seen in previous years?
Thank you very much, Janet. My name is Kinoti Gatobu. I'm the Member of Parliament for Bori constituency. And I'm very happy of this topic because it's a topic that is very dear to me, especially given the constituency I come from. Bori constituency is the only constituency in Meru County that is not named after a sub-tribe. Others are named after Gembe, Gembe South, Tigania West, Imenti South, and so on. But Bori is so diverse that the issue of cohesive existence is very important. And as you said, the problem we have there, the young people, is real issues like unemployment, poverty, and so on. But the problem we have in Kenya is that the young people are being taken advantage of by leaders to be used as, in quotes, the weapons of destruction of this country. Their young energies are being directed in the wrong places. So my feeling is, if we can have a revolution in this country where we as leaders and the citizens of this country as well are so much determined to focus on the real issues. I like the president's answer on the issue of gay issues by saying that's a non-issue for now. And to me, deep in my heart, I believe the issue of tribalism is a non-issue as for now. The issue should be how do we handle the youth problems and so on.
How do we handle the youth problems? Yeah, we'll try and keep our answers a bit short and pacey just because of time. I'll come to represent. Do you want to respond? Okay, you can respond and then
Janet, my name is Ochieng, MP Ugenya in Siaya County. You've asked a very pertinent question, the role of the youth in dividing the country, if I can put it that way. That is very true, and it's true because the youth don't know the truth. And until we have a framework for telling the young people, including us here, the truth, because the reason they keep on dividing the country is that they've been fed with lies. They've been told, me as a Luo, Kikuyus is the cause of your problems. The lawyer there has been told the Kambas are the cause of your problems. So the grandfathering of stereotypes, grandfathering of using words that don't help bring cohesion is a problem. So that they grow up not knowing what the truth is. So they grow up with lies, they swallow it, and so when they grow up, that's what they continue doing.
It's a vicious cycle.
Really.
All right. And maybe before we hear from Rise Above Tribe, as members of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, people consider you the youth leaders who should actually be addressing some of these issues. Tell us about the role that you play with that regard.
I'm Waidera Gaido. I'm from Alternatives Africa and sit in the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association reference group. What we do as the reference group, you'll realize, is that we are from different tribes and different parts of the county, different organizations with different visions and mandates. And contributing to the conversation, I would say that perhaps the youth have been fed for a very long time on a political diet, and that, of course, leads to development malnourishment, it leads to kwashiako, and marasma etc., simply because the development agenda has been left out. Politics should not be about tribe. politics should be about policies. Politics is not football, whereby two people play and when one wins, one goes a loser, and therefore that's it. No Kenyan should ever be a loser at any given time. Every Kenyan has a right, a sovereign right, to every resource, including leadership.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Well, I will hear from more of the members. We'd like now to hear from Abil, who is the founder of Rise Above Tribe. This is something that was born out of what you witnessed during the 2007-2008 post-election violence, something that you felt was obviously, driven by tribal divisions. She's just talked about the fact that politics shouldn't be about tribe. The sad reality is that it is. In your thoughts and views, how do we start to change that, if at all it's even possible?
Well, thank you, Janet. Bill Kembo, Rise Above Tribe. I just want to respond to what Mheshimiwa said, and I don't quite agree with him that the tribe issue is a non-issue. In my opinion, I think that it is a very important issue that we need to address. You talked about the youth and the division that they are creating, or this perception that they are creating a division in the country. I think they've just joined a game that already existed. I think the division already existed, but we never quite sorted out the root causes of why we perceive each other so negatively when we think about our tribes. I think we are paying for our country's founders' sins that have never been addressed. We're talking about land displacements that have never been addressed. So we want to seem to bury our heads in the sand and not sort out that issue, and then we will like you asked, like the question that you just raised, then it seems to look like the youth are actually the ones who are dividing the country. This is something that existed way before a lot of us were born. It has never been sorted out. It needs to be sorted. Yeah. Then the conversation completely changes. Okay. Yeah.
All right. You want to respond, and then I'll give you a chance.
Yes, Michael Kisimoya, Member of Parliament, Born constituency. I want to say that as KYPA, we are members from diverse tribal backgrounds, diverse political backgrounds, diverse ethnic backgrounds. And one of the issues that we are seriously advocating is to all the youth in this country is to ensure that they take active participation in matters that concern national issues, because for quite a long time the youth have always been left at the periphery. And we have always been having the tendency that we cannot do it, or we can't, someone can't listen to us. So we're encouraging all young people all over the country to be active participants on matters, because someone said if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So we must, as youth, encourage other youth and other people within our younger generation to start taking active participation in matters that concern our own destiny, so that we can be part of the solution to the issues that are facing this country.
All right. You wanted to respond as well?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Isaac Moara, nominated Member of Parliament, but also from Ruiru constituency. J.K. Rowling once said that we are strong as we are united, weak as we are divided. And I think let us not just hide under the carpet. The truth of the matter is our challenges come from our politics. Our politics have failed to have the imagination of political ideology, or rather the political ideology has been tribalized. And so when we mobilize politically based on ethnicities, the historical injustices are only a narrative that sustains a certain political end. As long as we Kenyans cannot rise above that, it will be a problem. In fact, Janet, let me say that we need political parties to form broad coalitions where they have representation from across the country, so that we do not have certain tribes rising against others. That's the only way we can fight this issue of division. But tribe is real. I don't think I can agree with my friend Gatobu that it's a non-issue. It's a real issue. That is how we want people vote.
He wants you want to respond to that? Why did you say it's a non-issue?
The reason why I said it's a non-issue is so many youths or Kenyans at large are incited on the basis of tribe, being told that the problems they have are because a certain tribe is in power or a certain tribe is not in power. But if you look at it critically, really that's not the issue. Because if we must even go to the scientific view of it, 40% of the budget of this country goes to education. Another 40% goes to devolved units. About 2% of this country, or this country's income, goes to CDF. That means every county or every part of this country has a rightful share of about, because education is all over. We have schools in every village. About 80% of the resources of this country have a way of getting to every corner of this village. But we don't ask the question, why don't we solve these problems using the much money that is being taken to the devolved units? So the politicians take advantage of that and tell the young people or the Kenyans at large that the problems you have is because your tribe is not in power.
Okay,
if we can go to the basic problem, which is poverty, which is other problems, then we can relegate the issue of tribalism to a non-issue.
How much of a role have each of you? Because when you talk about politicians, etc., like I've mentioned, you're also politicians. Am I right? You're also politicians, so you also have that responsibility, I would say, of being able to rein in young people. I don't know how many people know about KYPA, by the way, how they can participate in forums, how they can participate in dialogue. A lot of people are learning about this forum today. So maybe I can throw it back to you and ask, why does it feel like maybe you haven't done enough to A, put it out there that there is such an association, and B, created forums to allow young people to understand how to be together, how to reconcile? I can see everyone grabbing the mic trying to answer. Let her answer first and then we'll come to you, please. Very briefly. Let's give her a chance.
I think I just want to quickly say that ethnicity is an issue in this country. And the more we continue talking about ethnic neutrality, the more we are dipping our heads in the sand. I think what we need to do is to confront the issue, look at the deep-seated causes of the ethnic divisions in this country, because here we have a pool of young people who are free elements to be used in entrenching the division. And yet there are issues that actually are propagating that ethnic thinking. KYPA is known, at least in my county. We've had a number of initiatives in the county, and also bringing some youth together, bringing youth from the grassroots, from Nairobi, sitting them together and actually trying to focus them, because I find it easier to work with the women in my county, but very difficult to work with the youth, because everybody is thinking politics. When you try to focus them into development issues, issue-oriented development, it's difficult.
So it's something that's a work in progress. You wanted to answer.
Yeah, I think, this is my fourth time actually on Citizen, talking about KYPA.
First time on Monday Special.
Yeah.
But carry on.
Yes, I wanted just to show you that KYPA is out there, and it's been doing what it could do. But also note the fact that members of parliament have so many other things to do. And so the reason we came here, there's so many of us, it's from Meru, it's from Masai.
Different parts of the country.
Because we realized at KYPA that the issue of ethnic division is real. It's not something that, it's something that really hurting this country a lot. And so we thought we could do something about it. But I think 3 years down the lane, I can't tell you we've achieved much. Simply because even as we are sitting here, probably we are where we are, we belong to the parties we belong to because of our tribes. That I can assure you. That probably, no, I'm going to talk about it because even as Mwaura is an ODM MP, the Kikuyus always think that when he decides to run for parliament, he will definitely join a party. Definitely join a party. He's definitely join a party that is related to these people. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, we have members who are nominated, and who, when they go back home, they're always told that, you're going to come back. Speaks what he's talking about. People don't believe that you can belong to a party because of ideology. People believe that you belong to a party because of the tribe. And it pains you, Janet, to know, for example, that my son is 9 years old today, will be assumed to be a member of ODM just because he's low. It pains you so really.
Let's focus on the youth empowerment issue.
So that's what we're going to go to. So that the main problem that we're going to have to solve in this country is to address what he says. If we can focus as politicians also on issues all the time, and avoid trying to make political points using the clan and the tribe, we may actually make a big change in the country.
Can we give her a chance before you respond?
This is what I would say about politics. Politics is purely about power and resources. You have the power, then you control the resources. But we need to understand something. Tribe, as we were discussing earlier with Bill, tribe does not, or rather hunger knows no tribe. Poverty knows no tribe. And so we need to understand one thing. If this nation is to heal, everybody must eat. No mouth can be left hungry and you expect people to rise above tribe, because human nature is to look for something or someone to blame. So we have to understand that right now, particularly when we've got devolved government, that we should have distribution of resources, not to maintain the old colonial systems of extractive policies or systems for the British crown. Everybody must eat if this nation is to heal. And if people don't eat, then they go on survival mode and they really don't care how they will survive. So it has to be politics that supports development.
Okay, well, we'll give you a chance, and I think towards the end, as we get to your closing comments at some point, I'd like to find out how realistically we can implement you know, some of the policies you're talking about, or some of the ideas you have, how possible it will be to implement this ahead of 2017, or at least begin that conversation as we draw closer to an election.
Janet, you know, the first question we need to ask ourselves, even as we're seated here, who have you employed in your office? Is it people from your own tribe? Because that, of course, shows whether you are really committed to the cause on tribal, against tribalism. Number two is the fact that we as KYPA, we don't have resources. We are just an association of members of parliament. I mean, the other day we were in Kiambu, you know, helping our young people to understand issues to do with AGPO. And so therefore we have been trying to do what we can. Number three, really, politics is not just about distribution of resources. As it has been rightly mentioned, resources have already been devolved. It is more about inclusion, okay? And our current system seems to be exclusionist. And my suggestion is that people are coveting the presidency. That is the point of departure. So if then we would want to have people feeling included, there is need to have a broad-based national leadership, okay? Where maybe we need to create more positions to look like people are more, because that is where the problem is. Let's not lie to ourselves. And Bob Marley said, one love, you know, one heart. Let's be together and feel all right. But that is not happening because people feel excluded from the center. And let me also say this as I conclude. Isaac Mwaura has traveled the path of nationalism. But you find contradictions. Because if he is in ODM, then there are people who feel he does not belong. You get? So the truth of the matter is, we are living a lie. This whole issue, maybe we need to negotiate ourselves so that everybody can feel they have a part of the cake. But the truth of the matter, that our politics are local and they are tribal.
Your thoughts outside being, because everyone else here is a member of KYPA, your thoughts on what they're saying and whether or not you agree?
Well, to a certain extent, yes, Janet. But I'll go back to the issue of reconciliation, which I think is a really important issue that we don't take as seriously as we should. And I'll put out a challenge to the Waheshimiwas who are seated here, that reconciliation doesn't mean or it cannot be equated to us holding massive rallies and having different Waheshimiwas from different tribes, and then after that we say now our ethnic divisions have been sorted out. Reconciliation must mean that there is a perpetrator who actually admits to actually have wronged a victim. That is what reconciliation means, and that is what we are trying to run away from. It's a very painful process. Rwanda went through it, but it is something that we need to get our heads out of the sand and face. It's a very, very difficult thing, and it's very understandable that we want to skirt around the issue, around this issue, because of the pain that it will cause. But without us addressing that pain, the historical pain and the future pain, because if we don't address this issue, it will occur again. It will recur.
As we wind up, your thoughts on how we can begin that process?
I think this is a perfect platform. I think the conversations are important. We need to have those conversations, and we need to bring to book perpetrators, and we need to bring the victims to face the perpetrators, and we need to say, look, are we in a position where we can say, look, we have forgiven injustices, because somebody has admitted to crime, because that is what the Rwandese did with the Gashashas, and it was very successful.
All right, thank you so much for that. As we wind up, your thoughts on how we can begin that process?
I think we need to go into the realities. When we talk about national division and all the problems we're having around that, it's about which ethnic group is dominant and which one is the underdog. And it's when you look at our constitution, it's very clear that there is a special focus on marginalized groups, and that goes to speak to the issue of lack of equity. And we have enough laws. What we are not doing is the implementation. When it comes to division and the cutting of the national cake, we need to make it equitable for all of us.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. I first wish to add something very briefly on KYPA. Apart from what I said, in addition to that, we've done a lot even in handling the real issues that I'm insisting on. The chairman, Honorable Sakaja, has moved a bill on National Employment Authority, which seeks to have, especially the young people, get jobs. I've also authored the Strategic Industries Bill, which is currently at the Budget Committee, and which I believe if it goes through, it can really help spur the growth of this economy and so on. And in conclusion, I wish to speak to the young people of this country very, very strongly. And I wish to tell them the problem you have in the villages are not because of a certain tribe being in power and a certain tribe not being in power. Because that's the first step towards acknowledging that we need reconciliation and address Kenya's problems as a year. The problems are youth unemployment, the problems are poverty, the problems are poor infrastructure, and if we can address these basic things, create an economy that is robust enough to provide employment to Kenyans and food for every Kenyan, and at least basic education, primary and secondary education to all Kenyans, then we can ensure that the evil-minded leaders of this country don't have a following to incite people on the basis of tribe.
All right, thank you for that. Let's start this way.
Yes, I want to say this. If we have to address this issue comprehensively, we need to look at the political leadership, its commitment towards the national cohesion and reconciliation. Political leadership must exhibit full commitment and honesty in handling this matter, because as much as we continue talking about how are we going to heal the youth, how we want them to grow, how we want to nurture them, how we want to model them, guidance is very important. And how we model our people, how we model our young people, depends a lot on in terms of how they will grow up in the future. So it is very important that the political leadership must show full commitment towards helping this country go by being role models and examples of how we are going to work out.
All right, very quickly, please, so that we can give everyone else a chance.
I think, Janet, we need some social engineering. I think we were here, maybe somehow a lost generation. Why do I say so? In the 2009 census, when people are asked where they came from, only 600,000 Kenyans say they are people who say they are Kenyans. So we need to come up with some form of social engineering in terms of our education system, so that then we start reintegrating our people, so that if you're Kikuyu, you can go to a school in Homa Bay, and vice versa. We also need to encourage, intermarriages. Okay? We also need to create a narrative around the nation about our heroism, about the Maasai culture, about the running of, so that we own it, because usually when we are attacked from outside, we are together. But then, internally also, we must make broad-based political parties that have support across the country.
All right. Thank you for that.
No, thank you so much. I think, Janet, we have a place to start from. But I think I wanted to say that strongly. That following from what Kembo has said, this country went through a very painful process recently. And when we spent so much money setting up the commission, TJRC, has a very good report. I'm happy I sit in the Jela committee in Parliament this last week, we've approved a petition that would require the Speaker of the National Assembly to, for the first time since 2013, to table the report of TJRC for debate. Remember when we came in, the report was done, never debated. We even passed a law to allow changes to be made on it. So I think the first thing, like he said, is can we know what these injustices are? What are the problems? Can we own them up? Then can we start? Because if someone doesn't understand what we are talking about, how will you know? So I think we need first to understand which ones are they. So what are we trying to heal from?
Facing the painful
truth. What are we reconciling against? So I think we need to first debate it, then implement it, and finally, and I wanted to say this to all Kenyans this evening, that if there's anything that would heal this country, then it would be patriotism. loyalty to the country, not to the tribe.
Okay.
Because, like he says, hunger in Kiambu is the same hunger in Nyanza.
Okay.
So I think we need to know that. And finally, Janet, if leaders, and I'm sometimes not sure whether I want to still be in this whole thing, because it is us who perpetuate it. It's us, politicians, who perpetuate it. And we keep doing it, and when we come to television, we pontificate. I want leaders who are honest and right to Kenya. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Finally.
Yes, finally. First and foremost, I'd like to salute the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, because first, one of the things they did was to form the reference group. Now, the reference group constitutes of different organizations from various backgrounds and sectors, and has various committees, which the purpose is to just push for policies that actually advance the development, both the socio-economic and even political agenda. So, for example, I sit in the Economic Committee. We've got the Education Committee. We've got the Health Committees. So I must say that the Kenya Young Parliamentarians is doing something about it. And of course, what we need to do now, of course, there's always room for improvement, is to go out there and engage young people on development matters as Kenya Young Parliamentarians
Association.
Yes,
All right.
Association.
Thank you all so much. I think this is the beginning of many such conversations that we'll have heading into next year. Many thanks for coming as well. Hussein Mohammed will join me in just a few moments where we can sample your comments. Stay with us.